Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to have Laura Collinwood on my podcast today. And she's been, I guess you had been listening to or reading my articles for a while. And in one of them, I think I mentioned magnesium, and you contacted me and sent me some of your products. And I am a big believer that magnesium is so important. It is for my health. There are so many reasons I've needed magnesium, extra magnesium, for the last 21 years. And when I found your products, they worked better. They were, I think a lot of them are pharmaceutical grade, right?
Yep, they are.
And I'm in love with these products. And so I wanted everybody to get the benefits of them because I have so many benefits. And most people, like 90% of the people, are deficient in magnesium. And I know that's the case with me. I've written a whole article about how this mineral actually really saved my life because it was something they gave me during the pregnancy of my daughter. But anyway, Laura, I want to tell people, I want you to give maybe a brief story of how you found this, your background.
Sure.
And it's Health and Wisdom. And I started selling some of her products just because the benefits are huge. And I think everybody needs magnesium. So without further ado, Laura, why don't you give us a little bit of your background?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for inviting me to join you today, Donna. I'm super excited to be here. So my background is actually, I started out as a registered nurse and worked for years and years as a school nurse. And anyway, the way things happened, we ended up leaving the area we were living and moved to Missouri, and we were looking for a business to purchase. And I kind of felt like we were led to Health and Wisdom as we started looking at this particular business. And I started doing a deep dive into what magnesium is, the benefits that it can give people, and realizing that some of my own health problems through the years most likely have been related to low magnesium levels. I thought, this is something that really could be a huge benefit to so many people. And so some of the things that that I learned about magnesium are things like magnesium is needed by every cell in the body, and it's needed by the cells in order to produce energy and do what those cells are designed to do. And so for a lot of us, when we're under a tremendous amount of stress, we are burning through our magnesium really quickly. We used to be able to get enough magnesium through water that would run through mineral-rich soils, and so groundwater would have a lot of magnesium. And how many of us actually drink groundwater anymore? We just don't do that. I mean, most of us drink filtered water, and when you're drinking filtered water or distilled water or any other kind of water, it doesn't have the magnesium that you need. Also, most of us, as hard as we try to eat those fruits and vegetables, sometimes it's hard to get enough to get the amount of magnesium that our body needs, especially if we're under stress. And it seems like the past couple of years have been exceptionally stressful for most people. Most people I talk to, they've had something big happen within the past few years. And so when you're using that magnesium so quickly and it's difficult to replenish, it's easy to become low and not know. One of the things about magnesium is it is actually stored in the bones and inside the cells. There's very little. There's only about 1% of magnesium that you find in the bloodstream. And so when you go in and your doctor checks your blood and he says, "Oh, your level's great, no problem." The problem with that is, unless you're actually checking your cellular magnesium levels, there's a chance that you still may be very low because the body is very careful about regulating the level of magnesium in the bloodstream, and it will pull from other places in order to keep that bloodstream level exactly where it needs to be. And so a lot of us are low and just don't even know it.
And one of the things that I probably needed to tell this at the beginning is that you're not selling like pills. You're selling ways for the body to get magnesium that's more, actually it works better by getting it through the skin with this bath salts, oils, gels, soaps, and it is a much more effective way to get magnesium. At least I have found that to be very true. And I have tried a lot of supplements and I've tried a lot of bath salts, but I had to get the ones from the Dead Sea that seemed to work the best because it was ones I used for years. Yours seemed to be more potent. But that's something I wanted to tell people. This is not a supplement you're taking, because sometimes if you take too much magnesium supplements, which you can do, you get loose bowels. I think it's a little bit harder on you because the body doesn't regulate it with, and tell me if I'm wrong, but when you take it, like for instance, let's say you take a bath or you take the oils and rub them on your skin, the body takes in what it needs and no more. Is that correct?
That's what I understand. And so when you're taking it by mouth, it's easy, to either get too much and then end up with diarrhea or problems or
Right.
stomach upset. But when you soak in the magnesium, your body will take in what it needs, and it actually allows the body to receive the magnesium that it needs much more quickly than it would by mouth. I mean, if you were to take a tablet by mouth, it would take you months to get your magnesium up to where it needs to be. Where if you soak in the magnesium, just like you were saying in the Dead Sea salts, your body, if you're doing it regularly, it only takes a matter of weeks. Usually within about 4 weeks, people can get up to a therapeutic level. And then you just do it, instead of every day, you can use it just a couple times a week to keep it there and feel good.
And it
Yeah.
feels wonderful. I remember the first time I took your bath salts. I took a bath and it was the middle of the afternoon. I took one and it was kind of in the midday or something. I don't remember why I did that. Usually I take them morning or night sometime.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I could not, it relaxed me so much I could not stay awake. And I never take naps. And everybody in the house was going, Mom's taking a nap. What's wrong with Mom? Why is Mom? It relaxed me so much. It didn't happen again. But I remember thinking, I know the feeling of having magnesium restored. And I know that feeling. I know what that is. And it has always lowered my blood pressure to get enough magnesium. That's one of the reasons that in the hospital, when I had my little girl, they put me on a magnesium drip, which is very similar to what you're selling, to keep me from having a stroke, is what it was, because my blood pressure was so high. And preeclampsia, which now I know is related to magnesium deficiency.
Low magnesium.
And not only was I low in magnesium, I probably gave it to her, because if the mother doesn't have enough magnesium levels, then that, I've heard, gets passed on to the child.
That's exactly right.
3 generations for it to be restored, unless somebody does it doing the things that you're doing. But
unless you're conscientiously trying to get it up, it takes a long time to get your magnesium back up.
So that was, and I really think that contributed to all 3 of my pregnancies, the problems that I had with preeclampsia and all those things, because all of them put me on magnesium when I had my kids. And I remember laying in the hospital and I couldn't go see my daughter. She was born 8 weeks early or 7, can't remember. And she was in the neonatal ward. They wouldn't take me out of my room because my blood pressure was bad, and they had me on this drip, which I was just so lethargic and I was just so stressed out that I couldn't see my baby. So the nurses wheeled my whole bed into the neonatal unit at 2 a.m. So, because nobody was in there. And I saw that baby and I was like, I am going to figure out why I'm having these problems. And I went back to my room, and actually my blood pressure got better after I saw the baby. But we didn't restore it, but it did get better. But I remember laying in that hospital bed and I thought, if they've got me on nothing but a magnesium drip, then I am low in magnesium. And maybe I'm low all the time because it also related to blood sugar. And I had, gestational diabetes with that pregnancy. It helps with insulin production. It does a lot of things that I was having problems with. And every food that I craved were high in magnesium. So anyway, I went home and I started researching it. I started doing the baths. I started taking supplements, and I would watch myself. My diabetes went away after I had the baby, which is common, but then it came back, and then it went away again when I started supplementing with the cultured foods keeper, which is high in magnesium. And when I started to take the baths, and from that day to this, she's 21 now. I've been taking magnesium. It has made a huge difference for me, huge. And I just don't think people are aware that it can cause all kinds of problems that people aren't aware of. So
Well, and that's fascinating that you actually were experiencing a lot of the things that are specific to low magnesium, because magnesium is so important in regulating blood sugars. It's so
in
important
your
in
heart.
regulating your blood pressure and your heart and heart
Right.
rhythm. One of the struggles that I was having is I have a big family. I have 6 children, and when they were all home, I remember, the early mornings, the late nights, the sports, the activities, the school projects. And I remember at one point I started having an irregular rhythm, and ended up in the hospital thinking that I was having a heart attack, and it was all related to low magnesium. I needed that magnesium to get that rhythm the way that it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so
And tell me about, okay, so the cells, how they regulate, they keep that constant. They're supposed to keep the magnesium in the cells, and it works on like what, 325 processes in the body. Is that correct?
yeah, you need magnesium for over 300 enzymatic processes within the body. It's super key to so many things happening. And your gut balance is better. You have a healthier gut microbia if you've got an appropriate amount of magnesium in your diet and in your body. The cells, the interesting thing about the cell is where magnesium goes, it pulls water toward it, which is why it kind of causes loose bowels when you take magnesium by mouth, as it attracts water toward it. Well, when you soak in magnesium, the wonderful thing about that is the body will pick up that magnesium, take it to the cell, and water follows the magnesium into the cell, helps the cells to be better hydrated. So it's kind of like picturing a grape or a raisin. So if you don't have the magnesium you need, your cells are dehydrated like a little raisin. When you have the magnesium in your body, your cells are more like grapes. They're nice and full, and they're able to function better. So things can go in and out of that cell membrane more easily. So you're able to get the nutrients in and the toxins out, and everything just works better. And it supports your immune system. That's a huge one. Decreases inflammation. And so people who struggle with immune kinds of problems, if they can work on getting their body's magnesium levels up to where it needs to be, they will notice less pain and inflammation. And that, and even for those of us that want to support our immune system so that it will fight just common things like flus and colds and things, you'll find that your immune system works better if your magnesium is higher.
Something else that it helps with, which, I didn't even realize that this was what was going on, but you say if you have enough magnesium, and I used to take some minerals which had magnesium in them. And I always found that if I ever had any kind of like indigestion or anything, if I took those minerals, that it would go away. And then when I started researching your stuff and started taking baths, I noticed the same thing with your just even soaking or putting on the oils. And I guess it closes off the sphincter valve. Is that what it does? If you have enough magnesium in your
That
cells?
is that is a really good question. I haven't studied that one yet, Donna.
I
You're
have.
up,
I
up one
I
on
started
me.
I started researching it because I
Uh-huh.
noticed that it was helping with that, especially when we had too much stuff on Christmas, but
Right.
it would shut it down just like it would be like taking, people take antacids and stuff like that, which I don't do,
Hmm.
but it
Uh-huh.
would work like that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I
Right.
noticed that it would, and when I had my levels all up, I would never have the problems. Only when I was eating, foods that I normally don't eat during the holidays at parties, that I would have
Sure.
those problems, but it kind of went away. And I think that it was probably the magnesium in the minerals, because I was getting the same results from putting on the oils and the gels or taking the,
Uh-huh.
and then I
Uh-huh.
started researching it and I saw that it does that. It closes off the valve that doesn't let the acids come up. It's very protective of the esophagus here. And I didn't know
Hmm.
that. And I thought, well, that's good to know because a lot of people
Yeah.
struggle with that. So anyway, I was just
Hmm.
researching that
That's
stuff,
fantastic.
and I keep
Yeah.
finding things like this that it helps with.
Hmm.
That's really,
Hmm.
um, it's just so nice to find something that the body already has, it already needs, and a
Hmm.
natural way to take it, and an enjoyable way to take it. And you can put like, was it like an ounce of the oil in a water and soak your feet, and your body will
Uh-huh.
absorb it.
That's right. And so for a lot of people, if they don't have time to jump in the bathtub and soak in the bathtub, you can put about an ounce of the magnesium in warm water, in just enough water that it touches the tops of your toes and it covers the arch of your foot, and just soak in it for 20 or 30 minutes, and your body will absorb that magnesium as if you were taking a mineral bath.
And you
Kind of
can
the
also
same
spray
thing.
it on or put the gel
And
on.
you can also spray it on. Uh-huh.
And
You
you
can
said
also
that what
spray it on.
happens once it dries, once it's dry, you can wash it off because it can leave
That's right.
a little bit
Yeah,
of.
a lot of people when they use it, they don't mind that kind of tacky feeling on the skin. It kind of feels like when you put the magnesium on, it almost feels like you've been in the ocean. And you
Yes,
know how you get out of the ocean and you kind
yes,
of feel
it does feel like
that
that.
kind of tacky
It
feeling
doesn't
on your
really
skin. It's
bother
not
you. It doesn't
Mhm.
bother you, but if it does bother some people, you can wash it off.
Right, but once it's dry, your skin has absorbed what it's going to take and you can just wash it off. Yeah. And so we've got two different kinds. So the magnesium, the oil is kind of more liquid. This oil actually comes, it's mined as a liquid. And so it is the most concentrated magnesium you can get. It's over 3,000 milligrams per ounce.
Yeah.
And
Why is
it's
that? Why
pure.
is that one more? Why is that one?
Most of the different magnesiums on the market, what they do is they'll take the magnesium chloride crystals and they will dilute them in water. This actually is mined from the Permian seabed that's kind of beneath, it's out west. It's near Utah and some of the other areas where they mine down under the ground, and they're able to get this out of the ground. They send it to a company that purifies it to USP grade purity. So this is actually the exact same magnesium you got when you were in the hospital. This is the
Well,
magnesium
it
you
felt like
received.
it. That the first time I
Yeah,
did that, I was like, okay, what is happening? I felt this before. So,
it's the same thing.
and you said
Yeah.
too that, and it's so fascinating to me because, and by the way, if you're interested in these products, you can go to healthandwisdom.com, and I also sell them too at culturedfoodlife.com. We'll put those links below. But
Okay.
it's a wonderful way to get and increase the levels naturally, but you can do it. You said when you put it on your skin, what did you say? It opens up instantly when you put this stuff on your
So
skin.
what happens is you'll put it on your skin and it causes the blood vessels to dilate. And so you'll feel kind of a warm feeling, sometimes a little tingly.
Yeah,
For
you
people
do.
who are very, very low on their magnesium, if they were to put this magnesium oil on their skin, they may feel it almost as a stinging sensation. And some people will be like, oh, I had a reaction to your magnesium. I didn't like the way it felt. Well, the reason for that is if you're really, really low, all your cells are trying to grab onto that magnesium, and
I need.
sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, it feels a little uncomfortable. So we have the gels that are a little more gentle. These are about half strength. So instead of 3,000 milligrams, it's about 1,500 milligrams. And we have a natural seaweed extract in it. So we don't use gelling agents like guar gum or other kinds of gelling agents. We use a natural seaweed product that actually already has like your iodine and potassium and some other nutrients in it that are really healthy for your body anyway. And then we add aloe vera, and it just makes it a little more gentle on the skin. And so a lot of people that want to put it on different areas, like if you're having back pain or if you have period cramps and those kinds of things, you can just rub it right on the abdomen, rub it on your back, and just leave it there.
Because
And
it's a natural relaxer too. I
the
mean,
natural relaxer.
that's what magnesium does. It helps relax everything. And
Right, right.
you will see that to be true.
Yeah.
You try
Well,
it.
and I think one of the groups that really, really benefit from this are people who have struggled with PTSD. If you have been just uptight for a really long time because of some really, hard things that you've been through, traumatic things that you've been through, and you start to use magnesium, it will kind of help both physically and emotionally to kind of help you to handle those things better. And it just makes a huge difference. I've talked to people that just say it's been a game changer for them.
Well, what's interesting is so I never do podcasts with anybody who I don't use their stuff. I don't promote anything that I don't use
Right.
because I'm not, I don't do that, but I'm
Sure.
using this type of magnesium, not yours. I just found yours. For 21 years just because magnesium is so beneficial. And there's nothing like finding when I heard you say that you use that's the same stuff they put in the drips at the hospital. And I'm like, well, it has to be because that relaxed me to no end when I first
All
tried.
right.
And so I'm really excited for people to try because I think in this day and age, we're really struggling with stress and not necessarily the physical stress, but the emotional stress that's
Mhm.
happening to all of us. And your body is just this complex, unbelievable machine that knows how to do stuff, but it needs certain things. And magnesium is one of the huge things that it needs.
Yeah.
And with the soils being depleted of a lot of minerals, and you can eat, if you eat a lot of unprocessed foods, you're depleting yourself of magnesium. You're not getting it in those foods, and then you're depleting it.
Right.
And
Right.
alongside all the emotional things that have gone on for the last few years, and I'm trying to help people to understand that their body is like it's one of the most incredible pharmaceutical factories there is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
knows how to do things.
It knows well, and that's the thing. I think that when you give the body the raw materials that it needs, you've got the minerals and the nutrients and vitamins and things that it needs, it wants to heal itself. It wants to get back into a state of balance.
Mhm.
And I think that when we have disease, it's just that we've somehow knocked the body off balance so that those natural ways of healing aren't able to keep up. And
Right.
just like you said, with processed foods and things, you just don't have magnesium in burgers and pizza and sodas. And, you got to get back to real food,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it helps too because, I mean, I'm a big believer in kefir and cultured foods as general because a lot of them have tons of magnesium in them, I think.
Hmm.
But it does make you crave them when you eat them. And if you're
Yes.
in balance with magnesium, it also helps to create a balance in the body where you crave the foods that you need because your
Yeah.
body is in a place of balance. And so many of
Yes,
us are out of balance. And it's so easy to get out of balance with stress. I
it
mean,
is.
we were going to do this podcast last week and I canceled because we had to put our dog down. And
Oh,
cried so
no.
hard that day, I thought I would break my heart. I just didn't. And so, anyway, and I was under so much stress and nothing was helping. And I went in and I took a bath and I put extra salts in there and I went in there and it was literally like, you can kind of feel something lift a little bit. It didn't make it better, but it made it, I had a better ability to overcome it, like, not overcome it, but to be okay with it.
Mm.
I felt more relaxed because I was so stressed out. What do we do? Should we do this? Should we not? He was suffering. It was awful. Anyway, long story short, um, it was very helpful for me because I was so strung out. There's nothing worse than losing your dog. So anyway,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, there
Oh,
is,
yeah.
but for me that day, there was nothing.
Super hard day.
But that was something I used that day. I took a very, very long bath and it did help
Mhm.
me. It relaxed me. I was afraid I couldn't sleep because I was so stressed out and it
Right.
relaxed enough that I slept the whole night. So I was really thankful for
Oh,
that.
Donna, I'm so glad. I'm so
Yeah.
glad we connected.
Yeah.
I
That's
am
why I
so glad we
canceled. I didn't
connected.
tell you why I canceled last week, but we were trying to decide. We'd been up and he woke us up. It was awful. But anyway,
Oh,
those
sorry.
little fur-bellied babies that I love so much bring so much
Yeah.
joy to our lives. So
Yeah.
it's okay because, everything, there's always, well, to be perfectly honest, we got a new puppy yesterday. So
Did you get a
yes, we
puppy?
did. And he's as
Oh,
sweet as it came to us. It was really sweet. We love him. And I'm a lover of all animals. So anyway,
oh, that's
I
so awesome.
appreciated your magnesium salts. I took a very long bath when I
Oh, I'm
just so I could
so
see that.
glad.
So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you
I'm
coming
so
on
glad.
and telling us. And I hope people will check it
Yeah.
because it's just
Well,
good.
and I hope that people recognize that it's not only adults that need the magnesium, but the kids can use it too.
Yeah.
You would use less for a child than you would for an adult, but boy, they need it, to have a little magnesium bath before bed. If you have kids that are struggling with sleep and just all the stuff that we struggle with too, that kids can use it too. You would just want to use less.
Yeah. And it just
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's just one more thing that I found that is naturally occurring in us that we
Hmm.
can supplement and help in a very natural way, enjoyable way, a fun way. And you even have sprayers that you can spray it on to make it super easy, like for kids. I remember
Mhm,
the first
mhm.
week I got hair products, I was running around chasing my husband with the sprayer because his foot's hurting. I said, "You gotta try this. It's supposed to work really well." And so he put it by his bed, by the way. So that's how I know
Uh-huh.
something's working, because if he puts it by his bed, starts using it without me hounding him, then that means
Right.
he's getting benefits from it. So
Right.
anyways,
It's so awesome to use for leg cramps. When all of a
yeah.
sudden you're getting a Charlie horse when you're sleeping,
Mhm.
if you move your foot just the wrong way, it will just melt. Magnesium just makes it go right away.
And he
So,
sweats a lot
yeah.
because he works outside. So
Mhm.
he has to take things sometimes because he sweats out all his minerals. And
Right, right.
one of the things that's really helped him is magnesium.
Oh,
And
good.
he'll take electrolytes too, but the magnesium seems to work the fastest and the best because it works on muscle contractions, and he will
Mhm.
get those cramps all the time
Yeah,
because he sweats so much. He's such a hard worker. Nobody works as hard as he does, but he'll just be out there for hours, and we kind of have a desert climate, and it's not hot
right.
now, but it is most of the year. And so although it doesn't look like he's sweating because it's so dry out there, I think it evaporates, but then he'd get muscle cramps. And
Oh, yeah,
magnesium is
yeah.
one of the things that has always helped him,
Oh, good. That's great.
and that's
Yeah.
been going on since we got married, because he's always been outside working and sweating,
Mhm.
which I think has been very good for him because it keeps him really healthy. But
Uh-huh.
is very, very conscientious about his magnesium. That's one thing
That
he
that's
really does, because it
fantastic.
does help him. And he's found that if he doesn't have right magnesium levels, he gets constipated. That's one thing
Yep.
he has found. So
Yep.
he says,
Yep.
I know I'm low because that's happening
Things
to
are slowing down. Yep. So if you get the
so
magnesium back up, it just fixes that problem.
I know, but he'll be thrilled I'm sharing this.
I know, right?
We'll just act like we won't tell him. He won't
We
listen.
won't tell him.
So anyway, well, thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna uh, put your links below. It's healthandwisdom.com. Is that correct?
Yes, healthandwisdom.com.
Yes, and you can also go to my store at
Uh-huh.
culturedfoodlife.com and then hit the store. She sells a lot more than I do, but I sell the ones that I use and really love. And we also have, I can't tell you how much we love your soaps, your magnesium soaps, because they
Oh,
make our
good.
shipping room smell fabulous because you've got lavender and citrus and rosemary.
Uh-huh.
Everybody loves the way our shipping room smells now.
Oh, good.
I really
Well,
enjoy those.
we actually we're a family owned and run business, and so my husband's sister is a soap maker, and she says,
Oh,
well, you guys, with magnesium, would you like me to develop a recipe for a magnesium
love
soap?
that.
We said, sure. And so she started experimenting and just made a whole bunch of different magnesium soap. And she was able to come up with one that has the creamiest lather. It has no added colors. It has no artificial scents. It's just very lightly scented with essential oils. And all of the different oils and fats that she put into the soap, she researched to actually find things that are specific for skin health.
Mhm.
And so she's got like avocado oil and I mean all kinds of just really healthy oils in it. And so I'm glad that you like it so much. We have
Oh,
really
yeah.
liked this.
They were stocking stuffers this year. A lot of people bought them and put them but I put them in all my kids' stockings. They're in
Oh,
my
good.
shop right now. I used it yesterday. I have them in there.
Uh-huh.
I love them. I love the way they smell. I love the way they feel. And I know they're good for everybody. So it was funny because you have some different scents. You have citrus, rosemary, and peppermint, I think, is that right? I got that right?
Uh-huh. So lavender and citrus and
Lavender,
rosemary peppermint.
yes.
Yeah.
And so I put them in. My one daughter was like, well, I want the peppermint because she got the peppermint and I want the peppermint. So I said, all right. So I said, we can get that. We get out of the shipping room and go get the one you like. But we've really enjoyed using them. They
Oh, I'm
so
glad.
good. So anyway, and that's a fun and easy. I mean, everybody needs soap, right? Everybody uses soap. So
Well, and it's so healing. I mean, magnesium, you won't get the same benefits of raising your magnesium levels throughout your body quite as much from the soap as you will from the other products. But if you have something on your skin that you're trying to heal, if you've got like psoriasis, or if you've got acne, or if you've got something that you're trying to heal, magnesium is so healing. And so it's really a nice, gentle soap to use if you're trying to get your skin to heal.
yeah, I had something on my leg. I couldn't figure out what it was, like this thing, and I couldn't get it to go away. And I was like, is that? I don't know what that is. It didn't look like anything that eczema or anything like that, but it was something along that line. And I
Mhm.
started taking the soaps and I started doing more baths. And in about 2 weeks, it went away, but I'd had it for months. was almost like an open thing, but not really, but kind of looked like it. It was like it was weird. It had a
Mhm.
spread, and I didn't know what it was. And
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty familiar with most things, but
Uh-huh.
was kind of like eczema, but not really. Kind of like psoriasis, but not. It didn't have the white
Not really.
skin or red. But anyway,
Right.
went away.
But it healed within a couple of weeks. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
and it was just the more baths I took, the faster it got. But every time I took a bath, I would notice it would get a little bit better. And I'm like, I'm gonna go do this again. And one week I took a bath every single day, and by the end of that week,
Uh-huh.
so
Oh, that's fantastic.
so
That's
anyway, yeah, I don't
fantastic.
know if it did or not, but it wasn't going away before that. So, and, there's no telling. I mean, we have kind of we have a lot of land out here, so we have an orchard, but we have a lot of allergen things that we can get allergic to out here because we just have
Oh,
so.
sure. Uh-huh.
So it's probably something along those lines, but it did finally. It was your stuff that actually made it
Oh,
go
I'm
away.
so glad.
There's nothing
It
else.
is potent stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was really surprised. So
yeah.
anybody who's got psoriasis or eczema or things like that, I would really highly recommend it because the skin needs it so much. The needs
Mhm.
magnesium to heal anything that you've got going on. So
Right.
some
Well,
of
and
my
it's
own
interesting.
experiences.
We also have, so if people have problems with their teeth or their gums,
Yeah,
if you use the magnesium oil and use another product that's called magnesium snow, if
yeah.
you use those two together, they are so good for the teeth and the gums. They kind of they they prevent the production of large amounts of plaque and tartar. And so you'll notice if you start brushing with the magnesium, it does a couple of things. I mean, it helps the bones in the mouth to be stronger, because in order for calcium to get into the bones, it needs magnesium, and so it strengthens the bones. Also, the magnesium snow helps. It has astringent property, so it tightens things. And so on the face, you can use it as a facial to kind of decrease fine lines and wrinkles, but in the mouth, it actually tightens the gums and helps them to stay attached better. And if you have anything in the mouth that you're trying to heal, it really makes a huge difference. For me, I was having such sensitivity when I first started working here that I dreaded going to the dentist, because when they would start cleaning my teeth, they would hit these nerves and it would just hurt so much. And within just, it was probably a few months of using this pretty regularly, but now I don't have any sensitivity at all.
Really?
And in most of the sensitive toothpaste, they use potassium, but magnesium actually is more effective even than potassium in decreasing the sensitivity in your mouth. And then you get the added bonus of less plaque and tartar, and magnesium kills bacteria too. So it's really good to use in your mouth. It tastes pretty strong, but you can actually use your own toothpaste and put a few drops of the magnesium on, a little pinch of the snow on, and it will do the same thing with the
I was
toothpaste that you
using
like.
I was using the snow on top of I use well, this is another podcast that I'll have to do, but I use a product that actually has the ingredients in it that teeth are made from, hexaptate, I think, or can't remember what it was. But I was putting the snow
Okay.
on it, and I didn't know to put the oil on it. That's a good idea. I didn't think
Mm-hmm.
a couple drops of that. I might put a little in a dropper bottle.
Mm-hmm.
The snow, and it also, I noticed, it whitens your teeth a little bit.
It whitens them too. Yep.
Yes, so I'll have to try the oil with it too, because I actually had to split the jar up between all my girls because they all wanted some.
They all wanted some.
Yeah, because it's big, you get quite a bit, and so
Mhm.
I thought it'll take me a long time to use, so I split up the jar and gave everybody some because,
Good.
we've had a lot of questions lately about teeth and gums, and I'm kind of particular. That's a whole other podcast. Like I said,
Right.
I really understand oral health is really important.
It is really important, because if your mouth is healthy, everything else is better, and if you don't have a healthy mouth and you have bacteria
It
or
can leak
infections
down
going
into
on
your
here,
heart and
heart
inside.
trouble. Yeah.
Yes. So it's an
Yeah.
important thing, but I just started using that a few weeks ago. So I'll have to try it I didn't do it with the oil though. I just did it with the snow. I just put a little
Yeah.
bit on there. So
Yeah. Put the snow in and then put a little oil in too, mix it together and start brushing and see the difference that it makes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, I haven't been to the dentist in a long time, but I used to be a dental assistant. So that kind of stuff is really important to me.
Mhm.
But I have had some friends because I kind of recommended different stuff with oral health, and they'll be like, well, at first it actually made their gums hurt because I think it was killing bacteria. And then all of a
Oh,
sudden
sure.
it went away. And that's another great reason to eat cultured foods and kefir and things like that, because it
Right.
keeps your mouth healthy, you know?
Yeah.
And it also helps with muscle growth, I've noticed. Magnesium
hmm
does. I mean, it has how
It
many?
does. Yeah, it's really interesting because when you are exercising your muscles, you have to have magnesium. Okay, let's go back to high school biology. So
Mhm.
you remember when you're in class and they teach you about how your body takes proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and takes them through the citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle to produce ATP for energy that you burn. Well,
Mhm.
at several different points in that chemical reaction, you have to have magnesium. And so to produce energy, your body has to have magnesium.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. My son has been doing a lot of weightlifting, and the other day he went and he worked out so hard that he couldn't move. He was so stiff he couldn't stand up straight. And he says, well, actually, he had gone running, and he's not, he doesn't run very often, and so he'd gone 8 miles, just
Mm.
cold. Get out there. He just ran.
Yes, they're
He says,
good.
Mom, I didn't even know that you used your back muscles when you ran. He was so
You
stiff.
do.
And
You
so
really
he
do.
came in and just soaked in the magnesium. And after he got out, he was able to stand up, and it didn't hurt so much. And within just a day or so, he had worked out all that stiffness, where normally it just takes days and days for the body to kind of clear all of that. If you have magnesium, it helps that to just leave those muscles much more quickly so you can build healthy muscle faster.
I think it was Tuesday that me and my daughter, I think, went to the gym because we were like, we got to go to the gym. We just got to go do it because we hadn't done it for like a month during Christmas. We were like, so we dragged ourselves over there. We kind of had fun. Well, she went without me because she had to go to a theater class afterwards. And I'm like, I can't let her do this. I'm going to feel guilty all night that I didn't go. So I jumped in the car and went there. And the whole place was packed, which it normally isn't because it's January.
It's
Everybody's
January, right?
they're all freaking out like I am going to the gym. And so we were coming home. She got home that night and I got home. I go, I think I did too much. Cause I said, I feel like, that feeling when you work out, you kind of is like a body tiredness,
hmm
I had taken a long bath with the magnesium salts, which they are the greatest thing ever. I love those things. And you don't have to use very much because I had to use 5 times the amount of the other salts to get because it's a magnesium chloride, right? Is that the one that you?
Yeah. So the bath salts that we sell, they look like this,
Mhm.
and they are magnesium chloride. And the bath salts that we source are actually from Israel. We get them right from the Dead
Dead
Sea,
Sea? Yeah.
and yeah, and it's purified and it's dried to be crystals, and they are very, very concentrated. So you would use just a little 1 ounce scoop,
It's amazing.
and you'd use maybe 3 or 4 of those in a bath, where if you were using Epsom salts or some other kinds of magnesium, you would need a cup or 2 cups of Epsom salts to
Right.
equal the same amount of magnesium that you would get in our bath salts. When you've got healthier bacteria, everything's better.
Everything.
Your skin's, everything's better. Yeah.
Everything's better and good magnesium levels. And I honestly, I mean, I really believe in this because I've been doing it for so long. And I just started noticing people talking about it everywhere. And I'm like, all right, I got to do this podcast because I want people, because kind of when things get rolling and,
hmm
kind of becomes a buzz, it
hmm
does kind of sweep over. And I'm hoping people will really key into it because people need this. People need
Yeah.
their magnesium levels restored. People are struggling. And, I see a lot of people suffering emotionally and physically, and I really want to help them because there's
Yeah.
just no way to live your life,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and it's interesting because everybody knows, you've got to have iron for healthy blood. You've got to have calcium for strong bones. You've got to have, all these different minerals, but so few people,
Talk about magnesium.
if you were to ask, okay, what does magnesium do in the body? And they would say, I don't know. Well, why do you need it? Well, I don't know. And it's interesting because once you start looking into it, it's just like going down that rabbit hole of, wow, it just does so much.
Yeah, it
You
does.
can hardly even begin scratching the surface when you're talking about it, because it is such a critical mineral for your body's health.
It really
And I think it's a good thing so many people are talking about magnesium right now, because it really is. It's just so foundational
is.
to good health, and it's so natural, and being able to just absorb it through the skin is such a nice, easy, gentle way to bring your magnesium up without having to take more
That's your
pills.
day,
And
yeah, and
yeah,
supplements. Well, Laura, it is a pleasure. Thank you so much for contacting me to begin with. It's made a
Thank
difference in
you.
my life, and it's a pleasure working with you. I'm very excited about this, and I hope that more and more people will understand the power of the body's ability to heal itself, given what it needs, and
Yes.
this is a fun and easy way to do it. Thank you so much for joining us, and
Thank you so
put
much
all-
for inviting me.
and we'll put all the descriptions below so you can find out where to get all these wonderful products, or just to get more information because her website's great.
Sure.
I put these little
The
pamphlets.
pamphlets.
I'm putting them in my orders when people order things, because this little pamphlet has got, my husband took it and he was, I found it in the bathroom. I was looking for it. I thought, where is this? And he's in there, he goes, did you know that you can rub this inside your dog's ears? Because with the olive oil,
Yes,
it helps them to get the magnesium into their stuff.
it does. And do you know why you would put it on their ears? Is
Why?
because it does the same thing to animals it does to people. If they lick it off, it'll make them really loose, and nobody wants that in the
Nobody
house.
wants that. Well, it was
So you
interesting
gotta
because it said it helps
Yeah.
with, with
They
dogs
need it just as
as
they
much
need
as
it
we
just
do.
as bad as we do. Mhm.
Well, and they said
And
for
you know,
dogs worry about firecrackers and storms.
yes,
That are nervous, that helps,
yes.
calm them
And
down.
actually, it's nice to have some on hand. So if you've got a pet and you've got a storm coming through, or you've got a holiday where they're going to be blowing off fireworks, this will help your pet not to totally freak out as bad. It really is
Really
so
good.
relaxing for animals, just like it is for people. Just don't put it anywhere they can lick it off.
Because they will. They'll lick
Because
it
they
off.
will.
Well, and I'll try to include these little pamphlets because it's really fun to read, and there's so much information on here that I didn't know about. So I enjoy getting that. And then you've got stuff on your website too. And I put a bunch of stuff on my website. So thank you again
Great.
for coming on.
Thank you.
And, we'll get together again. We'll do another one of these, because the more I use it, the more information and the more things that I experience, I want to share them with other people. So
Fantastic.
Thank
I'd
you,
love
Laura.
that. Thank you, Donna.
appreciate ya. Have a great one.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.